achieved what other people, and by different scales it is a lot of fulfillment, a lot of accomplishment, have said, don't try to be overly consistent with things. That doesn't mean compromise your values, or that doesn't mean strive for consistency and simplicity, because those are important things. But just because like everything doesn't have to be uniform.
Yeah.
So Bikram yoga on such and such day of the week may be exactly what you need. But then when you're teaching or another day of the week, you may want something different, or you may want, So I think that's an interesting approach, because I think our minds, especially when a lot of really kind of people that are trying to learn about themselves and be conscious of themselves, it's good they strive for unitive thinking. They're striving for to understand things and be consistent. But things don't always have to be consistent per se, if that makes sense.
I just think that it's good for people to shake up their practice. When clients ask me what sort of yoga I recommend, I have a hard time recommending particular teachers, because if I've not taken a class with that teacher, I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I tend, if the client is athletic, I tend to send them to Bikram, because I know the sequence inside and out, I know what they teach, I know that it's safe, and I know that for an athlete, they want to be pushed. They like that little bit of an edge that the heat gives them.
Right.
But at the same time, I really liked completely shifting gears. So I really like a physical yoga practice, something like Bikram maybe, very sort of physically aggressive at times. But then it's good to mix it up and say take a yin yoga class, which is extremely longly held poses, sometimes passively, to open up different joints, things like that. The practice of hatha yoga, the physical yoga, is extremely broad. And I feel like I've only scratched the surface for the depth of complexity there is within the practice. But whatever you don't pick up and make your own isn't beneficial anyway.
Right.
I guess I approach it the same way I do anything with like Eastern philosophy or Eastern religions. I pick up what I like and what makes a difference to me and what makes sense, and then I leave the rest behind. When we work with clients, we see an overwhelming amount of pain. And most of that pain, in my opinion, comes from what I call posture. And I've said this in classes where I'm not talking about just the spine, I'm talking about the arms.
Right.
I'm talking about the hands. Like, are the hands always clamped up because they're using a mouse and the muscle tone is kind of holding this all the time without spreading the palm open?
Sure.
It's just body awareness. People look at massage in particular as a luxury. Yoga classes might go a little bit more towards its exercise, so that's something they can budget in. And certainly yoga classes are less expensive on the whole than getting regular bodywork sessions. But one of the things you and I talk about consistently is when I joke about Massage Warehouse Surplus, the big massage chains, they charge $45. But then you and I both know that the therapist is probably only making $20 an hour.
If they're lucky.
Give or take.
Right. With benefits, they might be making 14 or 15.
And then for people that are clients...
Not that great benefits, always.
Who say that they want to get massage regularly, they can basically take a therapist at Massage Warehouse Surplus, and if they can see them privately, that therapist would probably be willing, in some cases, to do an out-call to their home. They wouldn't even have to leave.
Sure.
Where they could pay that therapist $50, and they're getting a 2.5 the times rate than they would at the place. But then, what's the financial incentive? Because we talked about massage being a luxury.
Right.
But you and I would both prefer that people got it regularly for a whole variety of reasons, including fiscally. But you and I both know that we don't get any benefit when people are stressed out.
Right.
It doesn't make my life better. It doesn't make my community better. It doesn't make my nation better. And we have the tools to deal with it that don't deal with pharmaceutical medications, that have very few, little if any, side effects. I mean, nobody I know says, I don't want a massage. But I guess they wouldn't hang out with me anyway, because that's what I do for a living.
Right, there's some people.
Maybe, yeah. But the thing is, when it comes to it being a luxury, right now, my rate is $130. There's no time limit. Typically, that session is 2 hours. Occasionally, I will get someone who will come to me and say, I can't quite afford that, but if I got regular sessions with you, could you do it for 120? Could you do it for 100?
Right.
And depending on what the issue is, if they've had some major trauma in the form of a car accident, if they've got some major pain issues, and they're extremely financially strapped. I mean, I got into what I do because I was hurt. I was hurt in a car accident. I'm not going to take someone who's 2 years old like I was, who was hurt in a car accident, and just tell them to go away.
Right.
Because they can't afford my prices.
They know the value of what you do. They can come to you relatively easily. Yeah, those things go.
So the thing is, what I'm getting at is, yes, when we have to make a living, we have to factor those things in. I don't work at Massage Warehouse Surplus because I actually respect what I do enough to know that, one, I don't want to work for them. They don't offer enough as far as pay and benefits to make it worthwhile. And they so cookie cutter that package where it's 50 minutes. It says it's an hour, but it's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
No, if somebody gets an hour with you, they usually get an hour and 10 minutes.
Exactly.
But the thing is, when people are looking for massage therapists, it's still a little confusing to me why people don't see massage therapists independently as opposed to going to a chain. I suspect it's just because it's easy.
Right.
The Massage Warehouse Surplus is in the shopping center with the HEB. It's right there. I can stop in on my way home from work. But I don't think it's any more complicated to see someone privately. It's just a matter of access, accessibility.
Yeah, it's a matter of I think it's the culture. You know, I've had some clients that are like, oh my house. I mean, it's relatively small, and I got kids running around and animals, and my husband or my wife works from home, and I really want to get out of there. But most people are like, you make house calls?
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore. That's awesome. Like, you mean to tell me you can work on me and I can take a nap and you can leave out the door? That's awesome. Like, they don't have to get in their car necessarily. Yeah. And there's advantages and disadvantages of both things, but you're gonna pay a little bit more, but it's worth it. I mean, if you have to pay an extra $20 or $30 or whatever the case may be to have someone come to you on your day off or when you have an empty afternoon or empty morning, and you can get some other stuff done at your leisure or after the massage, before the massage, and then man, that's gold. I mean, that's gold. And it's funny, I think it's almost like the only thing that I know that people actually do for house calls, other than things that deal with their house specifically, like contractors, like repairmen, plumbers, electricians, whatever, that kind of thing, are is home health care for folks with specific medical problems, or if they're elderly, that kind of thing. There's no doctor house calls anymore except for that exception. You have to go somewhere else. You have to fight traffic. You have to do these. So I'm kind of talking about kind of the house call option and how that opens up for a lot of quality therapists. If you find out that one of your friends or colleagues or family members has someone in the area that doesn't mind coming to your house and is consistent and is awesome by all accounts, help them. Take advantage of their service. Find out if you like them. If you don't like them,
well, you can go somewhere else.
You can go somewhere else, but try them out. Because if your friends and family and colleagues like them, go for it, because they might. I just think it's just part of the culture that everybody's got to go somewhere else. So there's a real gasoline car culture, which I'm not against. I like get in my car and go wherever I need to go, but you know, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. A regularly scheduled client, and this is how I look at it, even with, you know, I charge $130. If a client comes to me and they say, look, the $130 is a little expensive, can you do it for $100?
Right.
Well, the thing is, if they talk to me and they say, look, here's what I'll do. I'll see you once a week for a month at $100. And I'll just pay you $100 for each session. Well, when we make that handshake agreement, the thing is, people might look at it like I'm losing $30 for my session. And to a point, well, yeah. But at the same time, when you're a massage therapist and you're working independently, like you and I do, what that means is I hooked into a client who paid me $400 that month.
Right.
It's really hard for me to say no to an extra $400 that month.
Sure.
Even though they're getting a little bit of a discount on my services. Because if I had 4 clients who consistently got 4 sessions that month, that basically means that I made, what, $1,600?
Right.
Yeah, $1,600 is my mortgage. You know, that's a huge chunk of income. So it's extremely difficult to say no to that. What I tell people, and I don't know why the public at large isn't educated about this. Massage schools have massage clinics.
Right.
So let's say people can't afford our rates. Maybe they don't want Thai massage. Maybe they want table massage. Well, if you go to a local massage school, they run a student clinic. Those student clinics have students, some of which who are just about to finish school.
Right.
Their massage technique is pretty well honed and developed.
Yeah.
Not as much as it is after 10 years of work.
Yeah.
You know, like us.
It's not seasoned. It's fresh.
But the thing is, if that student, if those people are paying $20 or $25 for that student massage, all you have to do is talk to that student, because that student has to get their license, and they're going to be dying to see clients.
Right.
To start working and get going and get some bodies under their hands to get going. You can talk to that student and say, look, I'll pay you $60 if you come once every 2 weeks to my house. That's $120 a month. Right. You just made a huge financial contribution to that massage therapist.
Right.
And the thing is, how many of those do they need to be able to work for themselves?
Sure.
And then deal with their own taxes instead of working for somebody else who's taking more than half?
Right.
That's always confused me. And it never made complete sense. Yeah. The only thing that I have noticed is it seems like most massage therapists aren't willing to deal with marketing. They're not willing to deal with the actual running of the business of being a massage therapist. Their massage technique can be phenomenal. But there were points where my massage technique was phenomenal and I was still broke.
If no one knows.
That's what the marketing is. How do you create knowing? Because for me, Thai massage, that was the problem. I did wonderful Thai massage sessions. Nobody knew what it was.
Right.
And when nobody knows what it is, you can't sell it. So you have to figure out, when we say marketing, that's it. You're just letting people know what it is that you do. I just never understand the market forces at play with massage.
Right.
People still look at it, in my opinion, it's less so than it was 20 years ago, but people still look at it like it's a luxury. And I don't live in that world anymore. I have to get body work regularly.
Yeah.
I have to take yoga classes, and I have a physical job. What we do is manual labor.
Right.
It's not digging a ditch. You know, we're not standing on asphalt 12 hours a day in the sun.
In some ways, it's more balanced, but it's also more skilled in ways too. I mean, it is more skilled.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, we can change it up a little bit. It's not like we have to do the same motion every time, but it also is. Yeah, it's difficult. No, and I think that's also, you brought this up before, we talked about this, where, you know, if you support, in Austin, I mean, if you support a local farmer or a regional farmer, you know, someone relatively local, you're supporting everything good about what that company and that family and that household and their philosophy and their practices and their influences on other people are supporting. if you support a massage therapist with your business, you're supporting someone most likely, and everybody's different, but who lives simply, who is concerned about things, perhaps how you're concerned about things, maybe in a slightly different way. But you're talking about supporting other things too. That it's not just, I appreciate this massage session 2 times a month, and I appreciate that it's at a reasonable price and this kind of thing. But you're actually helping them in the ideals and values that they hold. So if you give into a corporate structure, and I'm not going to just down every corporate structure or whatever, but if you're giving tons of money for a super top-heavy pyramid massage surplus warehouse surplus. What is it?
Yeah. Well, I always say massage warehouse surplus because I don't want to use the names to advertise these large massage chains.
Yeah. But if you're putting all your money into that, and, there's the convenience factor and that kind of thing. But if you're putting your money into that, more or less, you're putting your money into what's going on there. You put your money into someone who's putting a practice together, community-oriented. They're trying to use their knowledge and their skills to live simply, to live consciously. Their household, their family, their friends, the products and services that they buy or barter for. You're influencing all of that.
Yeah.
So I think there's not. I think people need more. People are conscious about what they buy. Well, I want farm fresh eggs. I prefer them to be organic. I prefer them to be free range, and I would really rather them be from a place right around this area.
Yeah.
Within reason. And those are all good things. But like what you're saying is, what about people in the community? You're going to invest in the community. And what can they do for
to me, what you're saying, and I talk about farming regularly because Robert Gardner wellness in my mindset when I was thinking about my business. I'm a massage therapist and a yoga instructor, but I don't do just that. There's also just friendly advice. And the friendly advice also comes from eat a balanced diet. Whatever that is for you. There's no judgments about that. You can change it in a million myriad ways because your body isn't my body and you don't thrive on the same fuel that I do.
Sure.
But we subscribe to Johnson's Backyard Garden. And I have very specific reasons why we chose to do that. Because I don't want my produce coming from California, even if it's organic, with migrant labor harvesting it, where maybe people are being mistreated. You hear stories, right? It's no, my food, if somebody got sick from Johnson's Backyard Garden, we'd go to the farm. We know Brenton Johnson. I've hung out with him. I've been in his fields. I've picked vegetables with his laborers who are treated well, who are compensated fairly, and he's running a community-based farming operation. So the thing is, what I hear you saying is you're voting with your dollar.
Yes.
I've never understood why people chose to support Massage Warehouse Surplus when they could get Cindy down the street, who has 2 kids who just finished massage school.
Who's amazing.
And basically promote Cindy directly.
Right.
Because massage therapists, when we talk about marketing, we say that the strongest force is word of mouth. Absolutely. Absolutely word of mouth. Facebook, this YouTube video, everything we do is a continuation. It's a 21st century fruition of word of mouth. But how do people find out about you? How do people choose you over, Massage Warehouse Surplus? When we talk about that, there's a financial component, but when people pay me directly, they're actively supporting me. They're actively supporting me being able to continue doing teaching work, to continue to make sure the electricity runs in here, to make sure that I can buy Brenton Johnson's organic local produce instead of buying all of my produce from somewhere else. It's chemically sprayed.
It's a direct injection of resources into the local
economy. Yeah. But the thing is, and we've had this conversation, when it comes to coffee. I mean, coffee is an interesting one because in the past, like 10 years or so, if you talk to someone about coffee, if they like coffee at all, and they say, you drink coffee that's not organic, and they act like, oh, that's horrible. Because the coffee industry seems to have done a really good job in educating people about why they should buy organic coffee.
Right.
And then it's like, you drink coffee that's not fair trade? Like, do you know how like basically they're taking advantage of these workers in the third world where they're growing coffee? So people understand that, and it's been so promoted, and the public has been so educated about it that people find it abhorrent if you drink coffee that wasn't fair trade,
right,
and that wasn't organic.
And it's quickly becoming industry standard through major coffee retailers, And
it's not even like laws. Like, you can still buy...
Yeah, it's just a consensus.
Folgers or whatever coffee. I don't know how Folgers is produced, or, don't say anything bad about them. But at the same time, why is it that fair trade, local, and organic doesn't apply to the massage industry?
Right.
To the yoga industry?
Yeah, because it's almost even... It's even more direct. I mean, it's good to feel that there needs to be fair practices and fair pay and that kind of thing for a guy down in Colombia, a farmer down in Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But what about the guy that lives down the street or the gal that lives, in the next block?
I think the difference between the two is, like, when we're talking about growing coffee, you can't grow coffee in our climate, which means it's being grown in other countries where there's a distance. I've never met a person who's a farmer in Colombia who raises coffee beans.
Right.
I've met my massage therapist.
Exactly.
But, I mean, how many people go into Massage Warehouse Surplus and actually ask the therapist, how much are you paid per hour?
Right. Yeah. Do you think you're fairly compensated? How does this work for your family?
To me, that question gets, because I don't know if Massage Warehouse Surplus has rules about what you can and can't talk to clients about. I can tell you this: when I moved to Austin, I was in a completely new environment. I had moved from Baton Rouge. I had left behind my stable clients because I moved here to be with Andrea, who's now my wife. And I went into Massage Warehouse Surplus with an excellent resume. I did Thai massage, I'd been a teaching assistant, I'm a yoga teacher, on and on and on. And they said, we'll pay you $14 an hour.
Yeah.
And I said, no thank you, I'll go work at the H-E-B and bag groceries.
Right.
Because you're not going to pay me for what I know is extremely hard manual labor for that amount of income. That is absolutely below. It was like a slap in the face. I'm like, no, I'm not working for you. That's the absolute end all be all. But massage students, when they get out of school, they're in $5,000 or $6,000 worth of debt.
Right.
So they have to be able to hook into clients to get the ball rolling.
Right.
To be able to pay off debts, to deal with their finances. Who knows what the rest of their financial life is in. In other words, do they have a rent? Do they rent? Do they have a mortgage? Do they have car notes, credit cards? Who knows? But now they've been strapped with this additional debt and they have to make a living. There's a reason why our industry, I think I was told that the average lifespan of a massage therapist career is 4 to 5 years.
Right.
And you and I both, I think it worked about 11 years now, right?
Yeah.
But you and I, and that's the thing people don't understand, you and I are the anomaly. Most people do not work as massage therapists for the amount of time that you and I have. And what happens in that situation is not only do we lose out financially, but we never are allowed to develop skills by working on enough bodies to become true masters of what we do.
Right.
A massage therapist right out of school can be great. They can have the biggest heart, they can have great intellectual prowess for what they've learned as far as anatomy and physiology, but they're not going to be where they are 2 years from then when they've worked on people, and they've worked on bodies, and they've developed more of a sensitivity to touch.
Sure.
In that place, I think those therapists should charge more. But what I hear from therapists online is they keep saying, well, I can't charge more because I have to compete with Massage Warehouse Surplus, because Massage Warehouse Surplus is pushing down the cost to draw more people in. And the massage schools are pushing out more and more students, so there's more and more massage therapists. And I'm like, wait, no. There's more and more massage therapists who are new.
Right.
Who really aren't that good. It takes years of practice to get really good.
Sure.
You know, if you have a plumber come by, are you going to take a guy who just passed his plumbing exam, or are you going to take the master plumber who's been tuning it for 20 years?
Right.
The master plumber may cost more, but I can guarantee you he knows more about the process.
Right.
And he's made mistakes, just like you and I have, where we've overworked our hands. We've used our bodies in ineffective ways, but we've ironed it out. We've figured out by trial and error what gets the most results in the shortest amount of time for the most number of people to be able to help them, while at the same time providing for our lifestyle.
Sure.
And when I say our lifestyle, I mean, yeah, like we own a house now. I've got a mortgage. The mortgage comes due every month, you know. So we could go on and on about it, but that fair trade, local, you know, it just makes more sense to me when I need a session to call you and say, hey, here you go. Because I know that when I pay you, not only did I get a good session, not only do I tip you, but at the same time, it means that I actively supported you paying your car insurance that month.
Right.
Like, I can see what the money I give you does to your life and your lifestyle. It's the same thing that goes along with teaching a Thai massage class. Yes, I charge for these classes because I have to maintain 3 licenses in the state of Texas. I have to deal with increasing red tape, bureaucracy. But the class that I give is solid because I'm giving them skills that can allow them to keep working and work more effectively and raise their own rates. Because the massage therapists at Massage Warehouse Surplus haven't caught on yet that they can work in a different way that saves their hands.